To go live now. Here we go. Good evening, everyone. This is Robert at English 360, and we are joined here by Francesca, who is somebody who's doing exams at C1 level, and there will be other guests joining in. I think that is the case. Not quite sure how it is going at the moment. I hope everyone's well. I can fix my camera. This is what happens when you stream from home. There we are. So, Francesca, how was your day today?
Was fine. I didn't do much. I studied. Yeah, didn't go out at all.
Okay, so does that mean that you are ready to, to do the exams that you're doing at? I think you're working on a thesis. Is that right?
Yes, I am. Yeah, for my master's degree.
How hard is it going to be?
Sorry, say again.
The thesis, is it going to be really hard for you?
I mean, I like the topic I'm writing about, but yeah, it's not that easy. Actually, it's quite difficult to find sources.
Right. Let's get Federica jump in. Hello, Federica.
Hi, good afternoon.
Federica. Hi, how are you?
Good evening. I'm fine, thank you. What about you?
Evening, whatever. Yeah. So there's one more, and then we are complete. Hello there, Chiara.
Hello.
Chiara, can you hear us? Good. Okay,
Yes.
So today we're going to be talking about doing an essay. Okay, so an essay across exams have very similar characteristics. They have to be written in a certain way, whether you're doing FCE, CAE, or Tom, Dick, and Harry exams. They're all the same. So I took this as an example, and we'll talk about it. So it's like a talking essay, and then you can write, at home and see how that goes. So today's topic is, this is actually taken from the Cambridge website. It's always good to be as close to the official exam level as possible, because there are lots of websites where they have exam questions, but they are not very close to the level of the exam. They're not as accurate. So this is why I went with this one. So I know Francesca's doing CAE, so today's show is on the CAE essay, but whoever's not doing CAE will still find it useful in general. So the question is, which facilities should receive money from local authorities, museums, sports centres, public gardens? Some opinions expressed in the discussions. Museums aren't popular with everyone or everybody. Sports centres mean healthier people. A town needs green spaces. Parks are great for everybody. Write an essay discussing two of the facilities in your notes. You should explain which facility is more important for local authorities to give money to, giving reason in support of your answer. You may, if you wish, make use of the opinions expressed in the discussion, but you should use your own words as far as possible. Right, that's the question. Is it? It's quite an easy question, I reckon, if you think about it. What do you think about the question topic? Start with Francesca.
Yeah, well, I think that's interesting, of course, but yeah, I mean, these three options are, of course, the main where the budget, the fund should be designated to. So
yeah, should be allocated. Funds are allocated, yeah, because that's the way it is. I don't know why. It's the way it works. Federica, what do you think?
I think that it's a quite common question, because also in the Ielts question all the time are talking about museum or sports center and public gardens or these kind of facilities. And I don't know, you should talk about each point and then like develop
one. I mean, develop two. In this case, they ask you to talk about 2 points, but we can talk about all three, because they can turn up in the Ielts paper, as you were saying, right? So nothing very exciting from that point of view. They're all pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Chiara, Chiara is the youngest one here, so we'll cut you some slack. Chiara, how's it going? You're okay? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, great. What do you think about this question? Does it make any sense to you?
Yeah, we can answer to these questions discussing of one of these points or all 3 points. I think that that makes sense for me. And
okay. So let's talk about museums. Let's talk about the usefulness of a museum. Where do you think it stands from 0 to 10? How useful are museums? Maybe Francesca can start.
Yeah, well, I think that it's important to go to museums sometimes, but I think that nowadays young people are not really interested in going there because there is not interaction between the visitor and what he see. Basically, you just go there and watch everything, which can be very interesting, but maybe the money in this case should be spent in order to make it more entertaining, the experience more entertaining.
Yeah, maybe I should invest some money in my headphones. Okay, here we go. Trust me, they cost a lot of money, but they're terrible. Okay, so one thing you need to know about museums, that they're not all the same, right? So Federica, have you got any experience of museums which were actually brilliant and you thought, wow, I'd like to go to more of these kind of museums?
Yeah, but actually they were like shows inside the museum, but it wasn't like stable, I don't know how to say, a stable show. Like it's just temporary stuff. So you can go there any certain day, you can see that, like that exposure, but not always.
Sorry.
And I think investing in museum is important if it's a touristic city. Such as in Rome, it's going to be important to invest in museum. But if you are thinking about the population, like the own population of the city, it's better to invest on sports or on public gardens.
Yeah. So I think the question is, why should we invest in museums, Whether they're relics of the past. Chiara, do you have any idea why it's important to actually invest in museums?
Yeah, it's important to invest in museums because can increase the culture in many people in a city, for example. And like you said, Federica, before, maybe is important in a city like Rome because there are many points of culture in the city and for history or for what do you want, where you and I think that is very important for all ages and for personal growing.
Personal growth, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. So when you're writing an essay like this, what would you write in the first paragraph, which is normally an introduction? What will you write about? Well, let's just start with Francesca again. Let's go around.
I would write. Okay, sorry.
Okay, Francesca.
The first paragraph after the introduction.
No, the very first paragraph. What can you say? Let's imagine you're writing, but you're not actually writing. You're speaking. So, what would you say?
I would say, first a general statement about the allocation of the funds.
Yeah, can you tell us what you would actually write?
Okay. Okay, maybe in order to improve the quality of the community's life, the life of the community, the local authorities have the power to make decisions that can affect their citizens, and when it comes allocating the funds, the debate is always very
Contentious?
Yeah, exactly. Regarding which projects
Okay, that's actually a good introduction. What about you, Federica? What would you say in the introduction?
I don't know. Maybe I will start with something more general, like such as each city or each government has to invest money in public facilities. Sometimes it's difficult to choose what's better to invest on, like in museum or sports center or public gardens, and then you can just start like making a point of why you should invest in one thing more than something else.
Yeah. Just to remind everybody, Cara is only 14 years old and she's doing a much lower level course. But I like to have her with us because she's very bright, and so she's a bit like a trainee. Somebody who is. I'm not going to be asking her all the questions because it's not fair. She hasn't had the experience. She hasn't had the time to learn. So I think both Francesca and Federica, you both have good answers. I reckon you now need to focus on vocabulary and how to express your ideas. So when you talk about money, you can use the word funds, and you can talk about investments. So think of collocations which go with the word investment. What words, in your opinion, collocate with investment? Like making an investment is obviously a collocation, right? Is there any other word that comes to your mind that you can say, because you're trying to use higher level of vocabulary to get higher marks? That's the aim. The aim of the game is, how can I get a better band in Ielts, or how can I get a better score? So you're saying things in a certain way to impress the examiner so he can give you better marks. So is there some way we can say this? Like, for example, it's important for the town hall, it's important for the government to spend money on facilities. Can we say that in a more sophisticated way, maybe? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I got it, but I don't know.
Okay, so this is the kind of questions that you should be thinking of when you're doing the exam, because this is how you're going to get higher marks. So if you have 3, 4, 5 different expressions, it is very good, because you number one, you avoid repetition. Number two, you show that you have a lot of variety and that you get better marks.
Can we talk about public statement, like to improve the city state? I don't know.
Yeah. Yes, we can talk about that. What would you like to say?
I don't know. Isn't it like public statement something about the public fund invest for facilities and these kind of things? Or I'm getting
Okay.
wrong?
No. You can say that. You can. I think you both said something very useful. You said it's paramount for governments to ensure. So instead of saying make sure, you use the word ensure. Ensure the funds are being invested in a sensible manner. That's one way of saying it. Or the investment of the much precious resources. Instead of using the word funds, you can say resource. You can say resources. The resources is important. So the way we invest, the way we spend our resources, will enable us, or enable our cities to flourish. That could be like a sentence. You're trying to say something which is going to impress the examiner. Bottom line is this: it's like you're going to a dance competition and you're trying your best dance move, so the judges can give you good marks. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. But yeah, of course.
So at least in the initial paragraph, one sentence has to be high quality in the introduction paragraph. for several reasons. Number one, you're going to signal to the examiner that your level is high. So the examiner is then going to be more inclined on giving you better marks. Okay. Number two, you set the tone for the following language. If you're starting at a high level, with my hand, yeah, high level, then you're going to be following on that high level. Does that? So that's another reason you should always think. Pay attention to what you're writing in the initial paragraph and try to like give one really high quality sentence. So it ought to be the first one in actual fact. So if you can do that, that would be great. Do you have any more questions about the first paragraph, the introduction?
I think that's fine.
Yeah. So do you think that you would be able to now conjure up some kind of a brilliant sentence to write in the first paragraph, which is very powerful, and it's gonna get the job done? Okay, so for example, you guys have a minute while we're talking. Think of a sentence and see if you can drop it in a comment. Could you do that?
Yes, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop one in the comments so you can see what I mean by this. For example, you can write something like public funds are actually hard to come by in these times, and it is essential that we allocate these in the best possible way. So this is just a very quick one, probably can do the job. Something like this. How many words is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's about 25 words already. So all you need is like, does that make sense?
Sorry, Robert, but actually, I was saying I'm just able to write down in the private chat and not in the comment section.
So you can't write down in the comment section? Why is that?
No, I don't know why.
Wait a minute. Maybe there's a setup that is not allowing you to drop comments. I don't know why. I'll figure that out. Maybe there's an issue with the setup, but that could be a good example of doing the initial sentence. I don't know if that's you're happy with this, or maybe you can do better than this one. You can tell me. You don't have to write it.
No, I think that's fine.
But do you think you can try to apply this strategy? Start with a powerful sentence in the introduction.
Yes,
I think
that's going to make a big difference. Okay. And the first paragraph, of course, after this one, this is the first paragraph. In the second paragraph, you're going to be talking about one of the 3 points. So let's start with Federica this time round. Federica, do you think you would start about museums, or you would talk about museums, sports centers, or public gardens? Which one of these 3 strikes to you as the most important part of the whole project for people?
Public gardens, I think, is one of the most that like needs more investments, because mainly it's used both like by citizens and also by tourists that are coming to the city. And then like you can do sports even in public gardens. You can use as areas. So
Okay, so your ideas are great. Now, how can you start the very first sentence like that? What would you say in a sorry, as a very
I'm
first
just
sentence?
thinking. Give me a minute.
It's okay. Take your time. Maybe
I don't know. Like
begin.
one of.
Sorry,
I
go
would
ahead.
say something like one of the most important I don't know, investments can be it can be reserved to public gardens because they have several use, or I don't know, something like that.
Okay.
But I think with better vocabulary.
Yeah, you can just turn it around. You know what? Sometimes vocabulary comes when you approach the idea from the right angle. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting the right angle. So you started with one of the most important, and that is one way of saying it, which is very good, but it's not allowing you to come out with better words. If you started with the subject matter, you're talking about public gardens, yeah? Start like that. Public gardens are, and then you can finish the sentence. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got it.
Have a little think about that, Francesca. What would you start with out of the three?
Yeah, again, public gardens, fine. Now we could say, I don't know, that in modern cities, pollution reaches very high levels. So having a green space where people can benefit from from fresh air and open spaces can be one priority for the local authorities.
Yeah, it's convincing. It's convincing. It's a good. It's a strong sentence. So that goes. Chiara, do you want to jump in and share your view about gardens, public gardens? I mean, what do you think about that?
Maybe I could say that public gardens are extremely important in a city for the pollution, of course, that make people side of brief, maybe the traffic or something like that, and I don't know, also for I don't know in this moment. I think that for the pollution is really important, and also for people and animals to have a point in the city that is a green point, a green place to live, to work for the people. I don't know, for have in this moment I don't know.
So I think that you all have very good ideas. One thing you can do is to say why public gardens are important, and then the second sentence you can use an inversion to talk about two of the benefits. You remember the inversions a little bit, like not only but also. So not only do the public gardens.
So you freeze. Can you repeat?
I'm sorry.
You freeze. Can you repeat a little?
Yeah, of course. I don't want to be frozen. Let it go. Now, I'm just saying, you can start with the first sentence like public gardens are essential to the public. Of course, don't want to say the public again. Public gardens are essential to the citizen of a big community, or the community, or to people in general. Yeah. Then you can say not only do they help in terms of physical benefits, like allowing people to get out and do exercise, but also have a mental, but also affect people's mindset, or affect people in a positive way, or something which gives two benefits. So you can use an inversion by saying not only but also, and that is very quite common at a C1 level. You need to be using inversions, like you can say never before have we needed public green spaces as much as now. So by saying never before have we needed, you're using an inversion. I don't know if you remember, there are about 10 different types of inversions that you can use. These are the most common ones, So once again, you can use the first sentence, which is a general sentence, like public gardens are important, for example, and then why they're important. And then you can talk about the consequences, of course. If you have huge central parks, then people can get fitter. I don't know. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah. So maybe I could say public gardens are extremely important in a city, and because they are important not only in terms of pollution, but also for help humans and help the people in general, to have a healthier physic and also mental. And I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of
absolutely. Yeah, good. Okay, let's go on to the next paragraph. Federica, back to you. What other point would you talk about? Difficult one,
Sports center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, also museum, that's a good one. So you can
Did you say that you've never been to an interesting museum?
No, I've been there, like in several museums, but most of the time I'm going to see just shows in museum or something like that, like something very particular,
So you have been to some interesting museums, because in your exam, and also in Francesca's exam, it's very important to bring in your own experience. So if you can talk about something which you've been to, it lends credibility to what you're saying. I remember you talked about going to, was it Spain or Portugal, Federica? I can't remember. Portugal, right. So I'm sure I'm sure you visited some places there and some museums. And what you can talk about the effect. Yeah, you can talk about the effect of that on you as a tourist and why they can be useful.
Yeah, for sure. I think you can talk about the user experience being in a museum that is just being renovated, or in one that's a bit older, or not so new, and is going to have an effect on the people who are visiting. And for sure, I can bring my own experience and just explain, hey, I've been in this museum and I really recognize that something wasn't, I don't know, so good, or it was really good because, not good, but I can say it was a valuable experience, like something that will leave you a sign.
A sign, yeah.
A sign, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you can also talk about the fact that some museums are technologically very advanced. They give you, they provide that immersive experience, where almost like you're entering the world of the past, where it is set, while others are very old school, like you were mentioning before, and they have a very different effect on the visitors. So you have these two distinct type of museums, and why they are popular, perhaps with certain sections of the public. I mean, if you're a teenager, we can ask Chiara, who is one where she would like to go, the one which has a very good technological aspects to it, so it provides that brilliant experience, or the typical one that you have, the old school, ones. So that's something we can mention as well. That's why you need investment. Francesca, have you ever been to a museum which was really memorable as an experience?
Yeah, I have, but mostly have been to museums that were traditional exhibitions, not very innovative or as you were saying before, technologic. Just once I went to here in Rome museum where they were like representing some famous pictures of a famous painter in 3D, and is that so? That was, I mean, interesting and different from every other experiences that I had inside museums.
So, do you think you could safely say that most people prefer the new kinds of approach to?
Yeah, I in this say I maybe would write that people think that it's important to invest money in museums because they have an important role in terms of education, but at the same time maybe this money should be spent in order to to change something from the traditional approach, in order to to make museums entertainment for young people, not just adults.
Okay, so Federica, where do you stand in terms of sports centers? Is it the job of the government to invest in sports centers, or is it private enterprise?
I don't know. I think that depends from the country, because maybe there are some countries that use more public sporting center, but at least like here in Italy, there are mainly private structure enterprise about it.
So you where do you stand personally? I mean, that you could give
I think
an assessment.
Yeah, I think that's mainly about private, like enterprise.
Private enterprise?
Yeah, for sure.
Why?
I don't know, because by paying a monthly ticket, like people who used to go to gym or whatever, also to the swimming pool, they have like monthly tickets, and from that earnings, like them, the private enterprise can invest in new facilities or to improve what they already have. No.
I see your point. It makes sense to many people, I believe. Francesca, do you think it's the job of the government to look after the health or provide sports centers to people, or is it up to the the public, up to the people?
I don't think it should be the government's job to allocate funds, resources in sports centers. Also, because we said before that public gardens are very important, and improving public gardens, people can go working out and exercising in public gardens instead of in a gym.
As if never happens. The amount of people in a park are nowhere near the number they should be. Parks are almost very. I mean, there are some people, but they're never enough, are they? I mean, it's my opinion.
I don't know. I went in a park here during the pandemic, so you expect not a lot of people to go there, but it was full. So
because it was illegal. That's why. What do you think, Federica?
I think that most of the time you are not recognized how many people are there just because it's a bigger space than a sporting center that is a closed space, you know.
That's true. That's
so
true.
you cannot really say how many people are there. Once I did an essay about these things about sporting center, if it should be a government a government obligation to invest on them, or it's a private stuff.
Yeah, and because it's a common question, you know. Shall we be like the countries like China, where the governments encourage people heavily to get fit, or
Yeah,
we?
Yeah, why? If it's a public stuff, then people don't have to pay to go there. They can just go if they like to, and it's going to be like all the population is going to be healthier and like. No.
So do you not think that public run? This is not the scope of the essay, okay? Because now we're talking in general. Do you not think that public run places are not as good as privately run places?
Yeah, at least in Italy, that's
yeah.
basically true.
I think it's that depends on the country.
Yeah, because when it's about the public investments, it's always, at least in Italy, always something else involved. I don't know, politics or even kind of criminality. So
corruption.
Sorry, yeah, corruption.
Yeah. Red tape. You know what red tape is? A bureaucracy. You know, like a lot of forms to fill in. We call it red tape, which means it's bureaucratically very difficult. There's a lot of red tape.
Mm-mm.
And it just depends, right? Which country you live in, kind of circumstances. Right. So, Francesca, you're the one who's going to write this essay, and good luck with that. And Federica, you have any questions in terms of essays in general? Because I know you're working on Ielts. Do you have any other questions I could help you out with before we close out?
No, for me, I think it's almost everything fine. Also, if I'm not that so good, but the main problem is about the conclusion, because all the time I feel like I'm just repeating what I already said in essay, and I don't really like to do that. So most of the time my conclusion are really short, and that is not so good.
Good question. How do you write a good conclusion? The best way to write a good conclusion is not to repeat what's been said in a very obvious way. You can say something like that, you know, like governments should invest in facilities because it's in public interest. But you can refer to the situation perhaps in the future. You can say perhaps with further investment, the quality of life will improve and we will benefit as a nation. So you can perhaps talk about the future and say something like that in order to get out of that conundrum. Do I say the same things again? You know. And here's another trick: don't depend on writing a conclusion which is long. Sometimes one sentence is enough. So if you've discussed your points enough during the essay, you don't really need to bulk up your essay in the final part, in the conclusion, because you've done your words, you've written everything. So all you have to do is just write one sentence. At that point, conclusion is just a formality. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So just to recap, yeah, the paragraphs, you can write a very powerful opening line. We call it the topic line. Then you can possibly use I have a comment from Isaac Mello. Support your introduction with different examples. Thanks for the comment, Isaac. That is a very good way of writing an introduction as well. Just remember, there's no one single way of writing one introduction. You can write it in different ways, and it's all about the effect it has on the reader. Okay, I've literally read university essays which did not use any complications in terms of language, but they were very well written because they had a very positive effect on the reader. They were written, they had a nice flow to it, they made sense. So, you know, you might be better off just focusing on how clear you can be in terms of your essay and what kind of experience you can provide and how well you can answer the question. You know, that the example of a runner comes to my mind because I like running, right? So I am an average runner, which means I am within the top, let's say top 10, but I'm not very good. I'm not a very fast runner, but I've got kind of a good form, and people who run with a good form look good, no matter what pace they're running at. It's the same in the writing. If you're writing well, no matter what vocabulary you're using, how complicated grammar you want to bring in, if you're writing with a good style, your language flows, it's cohesive, it makes sense, you're still gonna get really good marks. Vocabulary is just one single part of it, and the grammar as well. So yeah, go for it, in my opinion. You know, just turn that into a positive experience for the reader. Just like cooking a dish of pasta or baking a cake. If the cake looks good but it's horrendous to eat, you're not going to get good marks. So your exam, Francesca, is very soon, right?
Yes.
Are you feeling the butterflies in your tummy?
I feel a lot of pressure.
You'll do well. I'm pretty sure. I've seen your work. You'll do well. Essays, they just come with practice. Your exam, Federica, is up in the air at the moment. We're not pretty sure, right?
Yeah, I'm just deciding no, because I'm not fully sure about what can be the result of it. So
yeah, you know what I say? If you're not sure, don't do it. You froze, Federica. Can you hear us?
sorry.
You froze. Your picture froze totally. But are you on Wi-Fi?
Right now, yes.
Okay. I just tell you this last example. Yeah, the Wi-Fi is it's not working for you today because you're freezing every now and then. Chiara, you have no exam.
I have a really bad connection.
Yeah, Chiara, would you want to say something before we go out? Chiara, we can't hear you. You've got you muted. Yeah, now you're okay.
Yeah, I think that for me is I can say different level from what I'm studying. Maybe I have to improve now in my levels, but it was interesting to listen to a more difficult level from what I'm studying.
Oh yeah, these ladies.
Yes, and I happy that I'm trying to improve my English.
Oh, you're improving just simply by listening and talking. Federica will tell you that.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah, Federica will tell you that that's the best way to learn English, right, Federica?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I know how you feel. Yeah, Chiara, you're only 14 and you're on a very good level already. So, you know, when you're 16, 17, you'll be rocking. You'll be rocking. So good luck with that. Oh, all right, girls. Thanks very much for joining in, and I shall see you soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.